This is a lot. This is very unhealthy.
You were the drama like 2 paragraphs ago.
He's checked out and checked into Tinder.
Boy mums.
Boy mums. Oh, drama.
Hey Spuds, welcome back to another video festival channel. I don't know, but welcome back either way. I'm very glad to have you.
And hi Peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to another episode. What is going on?
What is going on?
It's not a Monday. What is this magic? A video on both our channels?
Yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, the podcast has now entered the sphere of the Jamie Dodger YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, hi.
And also congratulations, because it means that you have a bonus episode to listen to. We're still going to do our Monday episodes. We just wanted to do a little extra one to introduce the podcast 1-800 Drama over to the Spuds.
Yes, welcome Spuds. I hope you like it.
So the typical way that we start a podcast episode is with a red flag, green flag. Feel free to vote in the comments what you would go for.
Red flag, green flag, Shaaba.
Hit me.
Relying on horoscopes when you date.
Ooh.
Or them being a big factor in your dating preference.
Okay, personally, this might be a hot take. I'm gonna red flag it.
Oh.
It's culturally, it's a really big thing
Yeah.
in certain sort of South Asian cultures, and I don't mind it if that's what people are doing. I also don't mind, like, I think about some of my loved ones who are like, no, based on past experience, I will never ever date someone who is this again. And I'm like, but some of my besties are that, and I don't see them in any way as being the same person. So for that reason, I'd be like, oh, I have to red flag it, because I don't like the idea of letting people go through life missing out on what could be an incredible relationship just because of that. But I have to say, overall, I am quite spiritual, so maybe I orange flag it. Orange flag. Can I do that?
I was going to say it averages out as an orange. I orange flag it in dating, and then I red flag it if people judge others and treat them differently based on their horoscope.
Yeah, but then at the same time, babe, like, you're the one missing out. If these people are incredible. Having said that, we have also... I don't know if I'm being hypocritical. We've looked up our horoscope compatibility, because you can look at that sort of thing online. And I was a bit dubious. I was like, oh no, what if it says we're bad? So clearly there's like something in it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't not date you if we were bad.
Could you imagine if you're like, I'm so sorry, Shaaba. I know we've had a decade of great laughs, but
down the pan because you're Gemini. Bye.
All right, Jamie, are you ready to go fishing for a
drama?
Let's
should
go.
Definitely be drama if this is going on my channel too.
Sorry. No, sorry. Assholes.
You're through to 1-800 Drama,
The show where you share your biggest dilemmas.
and we help you navigate them.
I'm Shaaba.
And I'm Jamie.
Come join us as we help people figure out if they are the drama.
Because sometimes you just need an outside perspective.
And we can all expand our own mindsets along the way.
Wait, am I the drama? Am I the drama, Shaaba?
Always.
Before we started dating, I stalked my girlfriend for years. Oh.
Should we see what OP has to say?
Yeah, I
I'm
would
intrigued.
like to.
Me and my girlfriend, says OP, let's call her O, have been dating for the past year. She is beyond wonderful. Beautiful, kind, extremely caring, and a bit scary, especially when I neglect my own health.
Okay.
The fun times is good, and her family had taken a liking to me, but deep down, no matter how much I try to kill it, I can't seem to wipe out the feelings of guilt. My conscience keeps me up at night sometimes, telling me that I need to confess and that I don't deserve her. I don't want to feel guilt, and I don't want to regret anything. I hate these feelings because it's all worth it.
I'm just imagining a little confession goblin being like, confess.
Maybe that's what the physical manifestation
that
of
is.
OP's guilt. He's clearly feeling some
Standing
kind of way.
on the pillow. Staring you down.
Just at the end of the bed, you know, like between your toes.
Oh.
Did you ever see that thing? They'd be like, he eats your toes when you're sleeping.
No.
OP says she doesn't know at all that I was the one who stalked her for years before we got together. It all started back in our second year of high school. She tutored me when I was having trouble in physics, and from that moment I was infatuated. I didn't work up the guts to confess to her at the time, probably because she was quite popular and I found her friends quite intimidating. They weren't bullies or anything. Her friends were actually quite nice. I didn't know that at the time. Is this making you feel really uncomfortable?
Yeah, because it sounds like OP's girlfriend knew she was being stalked but didn't know by who. Because they say she doesn't know that I was the one that stalked her for years. Oh dear. Okay, let's read on.
So I turned to stalking, says OP. Everywhere O went, I would follow her. I would track her social media as well as her friends so that I would know all the locations that she'd go to. Then I would just take pictures from a safe distance, making sure she didn't see me. I still have the box where I kept all the pictures that I took of her, as well as some maps and notes about her behaviour, her likes, dislikes, and everything else that I got from her. This is a lot. But you know what? OP is here, presumably asking for help, so I'm going to try and keep an open mind. Eventually, the stalking escalated.
Oh, no.
I would would then begin to steal her pens, write letters to her, and leave them at the side of her house. I'd steal her socks, shorts, handkerchiefs, and a shoe or two.
A shoe or two? You'd better steal a shoe or two.
I still wonder how the hell I got away with all of these. We're making light of this because this is quite an unusual situation, but like in all seriousness, this is not okay.
Uncomfortable, not
this
okay
is really
behaviour.
not okay. She eventually did suspect that somebody was stalking her, you're right, Jamie, but thankfully she didn't know that it was me. I learned how to cook for this girl. I started working out. Hell, I even learned Bengali so that her mum would like me.
It's sweet when you're with somebody to learn the language of their culture or their country if it's different to yours. However, it sounds like it's a bit more than that, and it's like changing yourself, learning how to cook, working out, and learning a new language for somebody that you like. It's a bit much.
I agree with what you're saying, and another part of me doesn't necessarily agree, and I think it's because I'm like, well, if someone's exposing you to something and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I do want to better myself and I'd like to do this for myself, it's all about intention.
Yeah,
right?
It's the intention.
It's like, it's this calculatedness. And when I think about this might sound really weird, I think of Taylor Swift. She talks about this all the time, right? This idea of being a mastermind. This idea that actually, you know, the reason that you're with me is because I've put in this effort, but there is a difference between effort and infatuation coming from a really unhealthy place. That's what I'm saying. If you know someone and you're like, hey, maybe I would like to learn Spanish. Okay. But if you're like, I would like to learn Spanish so that I can cozy in with your mum with the overall aim to get you, that's not okay.
Yeah. Like, I want to learn Creole because I want our kids to learn Creole. Imagine if I turned to you and said, oh, I'm learning this language to impress your, not even you, your mum. What? No.
It's a bit much.
It is a bit much.
But you see what I mean? There are lines where you could be like, oh, I know so-and-so likes chocolate cake. And then you get a chocolate cake and you're like, oh, you like this too? Haha. Like, that's not creepy. There's a line.
Yeah.
Between...
But I think those behaviours coupled with the stalking.
Yeah. Wider context, for sure. This is not okay. I'm saying hypothetical situations.
Yeah, I hear you.
OP continues. It got to a point where I tried breaking into her house to take pictures of the interior, but they had a dog, so I just bailed. And then a while ago, she and her family went on vacation to her mum's home country, India. And this may seem far-fetched, but I sort of tagged along. It wasn't that difficult to find where she was due to social media. Okay, this is a lot. This is a lot. This is very unhealthy. I think it's quite clear, though, that the badge is you are the drama.
Yeah.
You are
we don't even need to get to the... You were the drama like 2 paragraphs ago.
I have absolutely no intention of harming her in any way. I swear to God himself that I cannot live without O in my life. And then a year ago, I finally worked up the guts to confess. O and I actually had a lot in common and eventually started dating shortly after. It was like a dream come true, but these feelings stirring inside me won't stop. I'm planning on marrying O, and I don't want to ruin it anytime soon.
The confession was to liking O, not to stalking.
Oh, I was like, oh, well, then you've said it.
Right. First off, we've already said the badge. Instantaneously, you have to tell her. And also, this does not sound like love. This sounds like obsession.
Yeah, I think that's where it's coming from for me. The need to tell. One, because she just has the right to know. And you have the right to not be covered in guilt by this because you've been able to go to a therapist, grow, because you absolutely need to, understand how to love in a healthy manner, and then have a relationship that you are open to, that other people are also open to knowing this. Yeah. Sorry, I'm tough loving here. I'm tough loving, babe. This is not okay. You absolutely need to tell someone. I don't... Like a therapist and her.
Yeah, I don't even have anything else to say other than this behaviour is not okay. It's very, very, very not okay, and she really deserves to know.
I feel like OP knows that it's not okay. That's why OP's here, right? And is being riddled with guilt. Yeah. I've not seen this before, where someone's like, I know this is wrong, but do I need to say something? And I can almost see it. No, I can definitely see it from OP's point of view, because what OP's thinking is, if I say something, this could end this relationship. And whilst that is a possibility, the relationship that you have right now is built on a lie. What happens if your partner finds out not from you? Yeah. Because it will happen.
Secrets always come out.
You've got this box. What if she finds this box? What if other people talk about it at school, or you're known? What if she starts to talk about the fact that she was stalked, and you then have to kind of like hide that secret even more with further lies happening right now? That is not okay. This is not a healthy ground for a relationship at all.
Yeah, and you have to lie about going to India and stuff. That could easily be like a slip up that you say you've been, and then she works out a timeline and gets freaked out by that. And that doesn't mean that you should tell her just because there's a risk that she might find out. She deserves to know regardless.
Exactly. And also, you deserve to have a relationship on that basis of her knowing. Let me make this perfectly clear. The partner here, 1,000,000% needs to know. But what I'm trying to do is phrase this in a way that hopefully OP or people in a similar position to OP will also know that this is beneficial for them too, because it's beneficial for the relationship. This is something that only has good things by saying and only has bad things by not saying.
Yeah, because this isn't a relationship that should continue without Own knowing and making the decision for herself.
If you were in O's position and somebody said this to you, would you continue being in a relationship with them? You wouldn't be able to.
No. Like, dead in the water immediately. It's broken so much trust.
This is not me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to point out.
This is not you confessing.
Like, well, I don't know how I'd feel. It's really hard because I am in a relationship with you. I can understand, like, the mind fuck that it will be to hear this and be like, oh. I guess it depends on, like, the scars that it left her, the stalking issues, and also if she feels she can build that trust again. But ultimately, I think what it comes down to in my mind is OP's love for me now a healthy one? Is it based on infatuation, or is it love? Like, has he grown from that? And honestly, I don't feel...
I could never trust that.
I'm not sure if he has.
I think for me, there's no way that this relationship should work. There's no way that this should be something that continues, because that is not appropriate behaviour. OP needs to go away and grow and learn how to love in a healthy way before being in a relationship.
I do agree. It's this healthy love. That's what I'm kind of getting around in my head. OP needs to learn how to love healthy.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell her though, babe. Tell her. You need to. And then you need therapy.
Should we see what other people said?
Let's do it.
Please, for the love of God, there's 2 things you need to do. First is tell her, and second is therapy.
I didn't write this comment, I swear.
Just the fact that you think you haven't harmed her haunts me. Your life is not over, and she's not the only one, believe me. All you had is an obsession, and you think that without her it's over. Such black and white thinking is one of the things that led you here. I see where that's coming from. I think it sounds more like obsession than love, and she will be left with some level of trauma from being stalked, because it sounds like she knows that she was stalked.
Yeah.
Somebody thinking that their life is over without one person in it is really tough when serious relationships end, when any relationship ends, when there's like feelings and genuine emotions involved. But your self-worth and your life should not be pinned on another person that isn't you. You need to find that within yourself.
I think that's what therapy will help with. I think people who do have stalker tendencies in this way really need to focus on understanding why they feel. Finding other people will fulfill these holes that really they need to be able to fulfill themselves. And to clarify, what I mean by that is you seriously need to work on yourself. Like, this is very not okay behavior. You are definitely the drama. I don't know what else to say. I think I'm just shell-shocked at how, like, whew.
Yeah. It's a lot. But seriously, Shaaba, you could be open to being with somebody who you've learned has done this behaviour towards you. Take it away from me, because I think that's what you're struggling with.
That's what it is.
A hypothetical relationship.
No, I could not. I actually could not. I think it takes me a minute to, like, process these things, but also I think sometimes in my brain I don't want to come across as being sympathetic to people who are clearly doing bad things, where that sympathy is then negating the fact that they did a bad thing. I never ever mean it that way, but I understand that sometimes my ADHD thoughts can come out as therefore me not being as harsh with a brush. Does that make sense? Not brush.
A stick. Baton. Gavel. But just because someone's a bad person doesn't mean that they've not had bad things getting them there, and that's where my brain always goes. Just like the person who wants to try and fix people and eradicate badness from the world is like, why are you feeling the need to do that? Is there a way that you can fix that? But also, yes, you've done a really bad thing. And I think, like, just thinking about our relationship, I was like, but I don't want to leave. But if you had done that, I actually don't think I could continue. You couldn't.
No.
You shouldn't.
No. I know. Another commenter says, stalking is more common than you think, and it's not just weird, creepy people who do it. Even people who you think are perfectly normal resort to stalking, not just because they're curious, but because they want a connection with the person they're stalking. Loneliness, unemployment, and depression can foster stalking behaviour. Just accept that you're in a weird place when you engage in the stalking. The fact that you feel incredible remorse now is a good thing. It means you have a conscience and that you know it was wrong. Put it behind you and don't say anything to anyone.
Oh.
A guarantee that if you tell your girlfriend you stalked her, her relationship will end straight away and you might even face criminal charges. I mean, can we just take a second, commenter, to realise that what you're saying is don't say something because if you do, you'll face consequences.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That in itself is kind of
really shit.
a bit of a sign that you 1,000,000% have gotten the wrong road here. Get rid of any evidence that you stalked her and embrace the person you are now and be grateful that you didn't get caught.
Someone's replied to them going, WTF is wrong with you. I totally agree. I'm like, did this commenter stalk somebody or something? Because this is not okay.
You see, from the beginning there, I was understanding what they're saying. Stalking is more common than you think. It's not just weird, creepy people who do it. I think this is an important point to raise. Ashley talks about this a lot. Ashley James, in terms of male violence, whenever we see media depictions of people doing things wrong, we always tend to sensationalize and other them. It's like, this horrific murderer, this horrific criminal, and it's like, no, actually, this person is a man. He's a dad, he's a husband, he's a colleague. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's these people who are around us, and we need to stop othering criminalized behavior to make it sound like it's not something that anyone can do. I understand from that point of view. At the same time, we cannot be saying that it's not weird, creepy people, because it is weird and creepy behavior. And I think what this comment is, I don't know if they're intentionally doing this, but what they are doing is making it sound like OP is entirely healthy now. But OP is not. That is the biggest issue.
Yeah, it's
OP
like,
is not.
How do you know that if the relationship between OP and girlfriend ended, OP wouldn't go and do that with their next obsession? I think you've got a really good point about, like, it's not always people who you would expect that do these types of crimes, but just because they seem perfectly regular and nice on the outside doesn't mean that they aren't creepy, uncomfortable, inappropriate, and they're not displaying those behaviours.
But the reason I think it's important to bring up that point is because if we only assume that it's like a very, very small unicorn kind of person that is capable of this, we forget the fact that entire society is being influenced with unhealthy and toxic behaviours. These assholes who cheat, these assholes who are serial killers, these assholes who are doing many things that are wrong with society and causing so much harm to women in particular are everyday people. We can't other them and act as if they're aliens.
I also wanted to pick up on this commenter saying that loneliness, unemployment, depression can foster stalking behaviour. That just sounds like excuses. That just sounds like this commenter is being like, he was probably just lonely. We probably didn't have a job to distract him. I don't know. Maybe he was depressed. And it's like, none of those things are excuses for this type of behaviour. There are plenty of people who are all three of those things who never even consider stalking somebody.
See, this is really interesting because this is where I think I need to grow as a person doing this podcast. You used a word there, excuses, and I totally 1,000,000% agree with you. Loneliness, unemployment, and depression are not excuses for being a stalker. You have to take accountability for that. At the same time, we can accept that somebody needs to take accountability 1,000,000%, and that they're not doing a good thing 1,000,000%. And also, us, objectively, as a thought exercise and as a societal exercise, try to understand where these behaviours come from so that we can hopefully create a world in which we stop people doing it again.
For sure.
Like, the fixer within me always jumps to that. And sometimes I think it can be interpreted as like sympathising with people who are clearly villains, but I'm not sympathising. I'm just like, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I hear you. And
so I wonder if that's where that was coming from, but I actually do think this comment is really unhealthy
in the
because
context of the rest of it. I'm like, no, you're excusing it. You're saying, there's plenty of viable reasons why you did this. It's okay. This is why you're in that headspace. You're not there anymore. You're remorseful. Don't tell anybody because you'll face consequences. It's all good. Like, no, this is not okay. OP deserves to face consequences for this behaviour.
Absolutely. You need to take accountability, and for me, primarily, you need to make sure that O is safe, because this relationship is not healthy. And if you guys do break up, as you said, there are other people who are going to be in O's position where this will happen all over again if OP doesn't learn that he needs to fix this.
Are you?
The thought crossed my mind. I'm sorry, the thought crossed my mind. I was just like, this is where Joe started.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is Joe's origin story.
If you watch season 1, how he was with Beck, this is it.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
OP, if you really care about this person and you need to care about yourself, you need to share this right now. You need to get some help. Woo! Am I the drama for cancelling my financial support for my son's wedding after his fiancée catfished him to, in Bunny's test his loyalty. What does this mean? I'm so intrigued.
Right. My 23-year-old son got engaged a few months ago. Recently, he admitted to me that he'd been texting with a girl he met on Tinder. That alone already shocked me. He's engaged, and that's obviously not acceptable behaviour.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was like, OP, don't be so down on Tinder. Dating sites are fine, but no, he's engaged.
Okay, right. Do you know where my brain went? And I don't know if this is showing a bias that I have. When I read that title, my brain was like, oh my God, are you pulling it because you disagree with the fiancé catfishing to test loyalty? But now reading that first sentence, I'm like, oh, is it because the catfishing worked and he was caught cheating?
I listened to the title and I'm like, okay, let's read the post, and I totally disconnect them. But that makes so much sense.
Okay.
Read on, I need to know.
But here's the twist. The girl on Tinder was actually his fiancé. I mean, we all knew that from the title. She made a fake account to test whether he would stay loyal, and when he flirted back, she confronted him.
What is he doing?
Yeah, what is he doing? I mean... Okay, do you know what? What are both of them doing? I feel like it's the same as going onto your partner's phone.
This to me is unhealthy communication.
Yeah.
Do you know what I would do in this situation? I'd be like, Jamie, I feel like you're cheating on me. We need to talk about this. Do you know? Probably not just like that. But do you know what I mean? Like, communicate, people, communicate. What is the need to do these like little tests and stuff?
But it sounds more like... This to me reads not, I feel like you're cheating on me, talk to me. It feels like, I feel like you could cheat on me.
Well, yeah.
And I need to know if you could. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it is on par with that breaking of trust of going on a partner's phone.
This to me is cheating.
Yeah. If you then find out that they are cheating, obviously they've done something wrong, but there's still trust broken on both sides. Obviously, I think cheating is worse than doing this. But...
Do you know, for OP's partner, for fiancé, to have gotten to this stage, that relationship is a problem already.
Yeah.
At that point, you break it off.
Yes.
That's what you don't. You communicate healthily so that you don't feel a need to do this. You can get the answers that you need to get without being manipulative in this way.
You don't marry somebody that you don't trust to this level.
Yeah, because what ends up happening is if you do then engage in these tactics, the trust, if your relationship does survive, because now the son's fiance has done something that means that he will not trust her, and she's only done that because she doesn't trust him. Yeah. And that's already just foundations for a really toxic relationship.
It's not going to work.
No.
Carrying on.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yes, what my son did was messed up, but...
No buts, babe.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, he done messed up, but creating a whole fake profile to trap your partner, that's manipulation.
I mean, yeah, but...
Yes, no, it is, but it's not a but. It's a, what my son did was messed up, and creating
Exactly.
And his fiancé manipulated him. If you have to run sting operations to trust your fiancé, maybe you shouldn't be getting married.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
But, this is a but, not an and. You shouldn't be getting married, not because a fiancé is running a sting operation, but because she's needed to run a sting operation. It's because your son is cheating, and I hope you realise that he's the problem. She is a secondary problem. She's the dessert problem. He's the main course problem.
Yeah, that metaphor works.
Problem.
I was going to say, like, she is still problematic. That is not okay behaviour, but... No, she's problematic, and that is problematic behaviour, and something has driven her to that. After learning this, I told my son I wouldn't be paying for the wedding anymore. I don't want to support a marriage that already starts with lies and games from both sides. Some people in the family say I'm overreacting and punishing both of them. What's your opinion?
Sorry, what? They still want to get married?
They still want to get married. Why do they still want to get married? Why did she run this sting operation, find out that, yes, your fiancé will cheat on you given the opportunity, and she's like, oh, well, I know now, we still get married. What?
Here's my problem.
What was the point in doing it?
I say this with kindness. Everybody sucks here. That's my badge. Everybody sucks here. Your son sucks, and you need to hear this. Your son sucks because he is cheating on his partner. This is a monogamous relationship because nothing has been said otherwise. Yeah. She's clearly not happy with it. This is definitely a monogamous relationship. Your son sucks. You got to hear that. Your son sucks. I'm saying it multiple times because it seems like Opie just doesn't know, you know? The partner sucks because unhealthy relationship management. You need to confront with honest communication as the only way forward. And you suck, not for enjoying your financial support, but for putting the accountability on both sides equally. That's not right. What you need to be saying here is, I do not want to support a marriage that I think is destined to fail because my son is clearly not in it.
I'm going to agree with you, everybody sucks, and it's for very similar reasons, but I feel more strongly that OP, it's not equal. She sounds more on the side of her son. She sounds more supportive of her son's behaviour because she's like, what my son did was messed up, and then whole other 2 sentences about how messed up the fiance's behaviour was.
Yeah, you're right.
And then don't want to support marriage that starts with lies and games from both sides.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
he started it.
Cheated. She did a manipulative game that was wrong and would definitely break a trust and should not have happened. And we're not supporting that.
Well, he's playing a game.
However, he cheated.
You know, he's trying to collect his marbles. She just wants the one marble.
Sure. Because the son's fiance resorted to that behaviour, I would not be surprised if it's not the first time she's caught him cheating, right?
It is a possibility. I just think what I'm very shocked about here is that how you as a parent can be like, and I'm pulling funding from the marriage because you're both dilly-dallying in silly games. No, you pull funding from the marriage because he's left this relationship.
I don't think he's left, but he's clearly not all in it.
He's checked out, dude. He's checked out and checked into Tinder. This is not okay.
The pulling of funding should have been more based on the fact that there's cheating going on with a secondary, and clearly there's no trust because this manipulative game was used to find it out.
It's very bizarre to me as well that they're saying that you're overreacting. Like, your network is saying you're overreacting and therefore you're punishing both of them. Like, why is that even a conversation?
Yeah.
What is happening here? I'm so confused.
What's up with the network that is forgiving cheating and manipulation?
Why is this wedding still going ahead?
No, yeah, it's like doomed to fail unless they're both just happy to not trust their partner and bury their heads in the sand over it.
Should we see what some comments have to say?
Yes.
Not the drama, but your son she was having doubts and he clearly is not opposed to cheating. She should have ended it.
I do see why people would give OP a not the drama badge. OP is the smallest drama in this, but I just think that there seems to be a lack of acknowledging the accountability her son needs to take in this situation.
Yeah, my brain is melting in this a little bit. Hang on a second. I'm not sure if OP is the smallest drama within this. I think OP is not the drama for pulling funding.
Yeah.
I think OP is the drama for excusing her son's behaviour and being like, fiance is the problem. I don't mean to sound like a dick, but I'm just gonna be really honest. If this is your viewpoint and you are not holding your son to account, where does he learn his values from? Why does he feel the need to do this? You're literally being blind to his badness, to his evil doing within this. It kind of makes me feel like maybe, I sound mean, like I'm calling out parenting, babe. I'm saying that maybe there is a reason that your son feels entitled to do this, and maybe it's because he's not being held accountable, which you are again not doing here.
If I were the parent in this situation and it were my child who'd done the cheating and I wrote a post like this, I'd be like, I cannot support a marriage where clearly my child is not in this marriage. Yeah. They cheated on their partner. I am not agreeing with that. I cannot financially support them.
You dealt with it in a very toxic, unhealthy way as a secondary.
Yeah, that's how it would be phrased. Yeah, it could be poor phrasing on OP's part, but it does feel like she's not acknowledging how bad cheating is.
Yeah, because her son's doing it. I get this quite a lot in South Asian culture. There's a term, Raja Beta. Raja, like this idea that like the mums are just so blind to whatever their sons are doing. But when it comes to any women in the relationship, which are often the in-laws, they take the blame for everything because, Raja Beta.
Boy mums.
Boy mums. Is that what a boy mum is?
Obsessed with their sons.
Not the drama.
But you seem more unhappy with her than him, which is unfortunate.
It's not unfortunate. Yeah. It's plain wrong.
I don't agree with how she did it, but she apparently had good cause. I doubt her catfish is the only girl he was contacting.
That's what your point is, right? Yeah. You're saying if she's gone to the point of doing that and he's engaged, it's likely that there are other people.
He doesn't get to be offended she caught him doing wrong. Sounds like he especially is not ready for a marriage.
Do you know there was one fleeting thought in my brain, and that was that, Bumble, quite love Bumble. I think it's really sweet. They've also got like the friend function, but I'm assuming Tinder doesn't have a friend function.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Oh.
If he was doing that
he was flirting with her though. Yeah. OP is the drama for the bias. It is very obvious OP thinks that test was a greater morality violation than the cheating.
Yes.
Yes, what my son did was messed up, but nothing. Your son is an a-hole. Mm-hmm. Don't try to turn this into her being a worse person.
Yes.
Admonish your son. Try to protect him from his immorality. Everybody Sucks here fits perfectly. I feel like this sums up what we've been saying.
Yes. I'm glad someone else said this because the consensus definitely seems to be not the drama, and I'm very confused.
Yeah.
The fiancé is not the drama here. Getting evidence of a betrayal she already suspected isn't wrong. I do challenge that. I do think it's unhealthy.
I guess we don't know the level to which she's confronted him before. And like, if you're at that point
Then
where
leave.
you must know, it's a kind of like, I know what you were doing, I am leaving this situation, and then that's up to him to show you that you've got the wrong end of the stick.
We see this a lot on these kinds of forums where people are like, but I had a reason to check his phone. I truly don't think there is ever reason to do that. You know before you check the phone, if you need to check the phone, that's the problem. You don't need to check the phone. The way that you're feeling is enough reason to end it. Do you see what I mean?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think some people need that
Like
nail
the
in the
closure?
coffin. I do think creating a whole fake catfishing profile
It's a lot.
is a lot, and like clearly there's a reason to doing this. I don't think it's right behavior, but the fiance is like, yeah, maybe I do agree with you. The fiance was the least drama in this situation. I can't decide. I do think everybody sucks here generally, but the son most of all.
She didn't entrap him or manipulate him into joining the dating site. She just found him there and engaged in conversation to see how he was behaving. Blaming her is victim blaming bullcrap.
Blaming her is...
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree that blaming her for the issue is. But I do think we would be remiss. All I'm doing is acknowledging that if this relationship is to have a second chance, engaging in this behaviour, you know when they say stooping low? This is stooping low. When you have done that, you get rid of your morality and your high ground. Don't do to other people what you don't want to do yourself. I will never breach someone's privacy. I would rather just not be with you if I feel a need to do that. Rather than actually doing that.
Yeah.
Because that in itself is a toxic behaviour. And you, babe, you deserve better, I'm saying to fiancé, than to feel the ickiness of having to check someone's phone.
Also, the fiance didn't need to catfish him. She must have felt like he was on Tinder. She must know he's on Tinder.
She doesn't know how it works.
Well,
this is like the swipe
you,
right.
you have to match. Her just creating a profile to see if he's on Tinder, I don't think there's a problem with that. If she has a suspicion and she's like, I want to see if he's on Tinder, for me, that's enough. If you're on Tinder and this isn't something that we have mutually agreed upon is okay, you don't need to flirt with a fake profile of mine. I'm confronting you because you're on Tinder. That's where I think the border was crossed. Create a fake profile, see if your partner's on Tinder if you have suspicions, and then take it to them if they are. You don't need to then engage and catfish them and trick them into flirting back.
I am with you. I would suggest conversing before that though as well. Like there's a reason that you think that he's on Tinder. At that point, just fucking talk, bro. Talk. Be like, oh, this doesn't feel good.
However, you are a very honest person and we are in a relationship where everything is out on the table and we trust each other completely. Not everybody's in that situation.
I encourage you to attempt to get as close to that as you can.
They may feel they can trust, but when they speak to somebody, they might get a brick wall and a lot of lying. And if they still got that gut feeling and they're being lied to, they need to take matters into their own hand.
This is like a bit of a sanity check.
Yeah.
And I maintain, I do agree with you, but I think that sanity check can be doing things that, as I said, I wouldn't mind if someone just goes on a website as they would anyway to check.
Yeah.
You know, like that doesn't seem dodgy to me. That wouldn't make me feel icky, like I'm stooping low. But checking someone's phone, that to me feels like stooping low.
And actually engaging in the conversation
as a fake person is very obviously stooping low.
It's just unnecessary. He's on Tinder. He was right there.
Oh,
an
OP's actually responded.
response. Dear users, first of all, thanks for all those answers and critic on my actions. After reading through hundreds of your comments, I want to take a moment to genuinely reflect and admit that many of you are right. If I'm being honest, had the roles been reversed, if it were my daughter engaged to a man who started flirting on Tinder and she pulled the exact same move to confirm her suspicions, I wouldn't have called it manipulation. I probably would have said, good for her for finding out now rather than later. That double standard hit me.
Oh, we love a growth moment.
I reacted emotionally and focused way too much on how she exposed the issue rather than why she felt the need to in the first place. She didn't create the problem, my son did, and she reacted to it.
Yes, OP.
Yeah, I'll try to give you all an update soon. I plan to talk to both of them again and hopefully get a clearer picture. Thanks again to everyone who gave honest input.
Oh, this is really cute. Like this, it really warmed my heart.
Yeah, I feel like OP is pinged all the way the other way from blaming the son's fiance to now being like, good for her finding out now rather than later. I think it falls somewhere in the middle where obviously the fiance,
she needs to have some accountability.
Just the point of engaging in the conversation. I do think it turned into that slightly manipulative behaviour.
I do hear you.
It's a shame that the son's fiance felt she needed to do that though.
Yes. But take accountability for that in itself not being a very healthy behaviour, even if it's justified where it's coming from.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. There were other ways to have done it that wouldn't have, garnered such a negative response.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I do hope that what OP has gotten from this is that, yes, you are incorrect for being so blinded to the fact that your son was clearly the instigator of all of this mess. But at the same time, your financial autonomy is your financial autonomy, and you deserve to do what you want to do with your money.
Oh, I still maintain I don't think OP is the drama for not wanting to fund a marriage where this situation has gone on, because I'd be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Really?
I can see a world in which, where all of this was brought up, the relationship could survive. I do think that if the son was genuinely apologetic and was just like, okay, I acknowledge that there's a problem here, and that OP's fiance did the same thing, we're just like, right, if we're going to have any chance of making this work, we need to be honest with each other. We need to trust each other. We need to find out whatever it was that was causing you to stray, and if you genuinely want to be with me, that needs to not happen. Do you see what I mean? I can see a world in which that could come back, but I could not see a world in which I would be getting married to you on the same schedule.
Oh,
like,
no.
You need time to work that out without that commitment and pressure of, oh my gosh, we're forming this bond.
I wouldn't judge a couple who put everything out in the open and wanted to try again, but I would judge them if they carried on getting married, because that is a big, expensive commitment, both in terms of the actual wedding day and in terms of if things go wrong.
Well, I think also it's a variable that entirely gets rid of that experiment. If you're doing this all thinking, oh my gosh, but we have to get married, that's something that's going to bias you into feeling like you have to stay in a relationship, which I just don't think is fair for either of you. Someone else responded to OP's update and said, good on you for reflecting. Seriously, you don't see much of that here. Agreed. I'm very, very grateful.
And another one saying, thank you for thinking again, actually reading responses and admitting that you were wrong. That's not easy, and I admire you for this. Now you can help your son be a better person instead of blindly defending him, and you can face your almost daughter-in-law in better faith. Great work.
That's
cute.
Oh, drama. This final submission is from the 1-800-DRAMA subreddit. Yes, our podcast has a little subreddit. You should totally go and check it out. To 1, submit your own drama if you want to. 2, go and help other peaches out with their drama, because unfortunately we can't cover everyone's topics, but it's really, really awesome. We do sneakily frequent it quite a lot and love the fact that the community is able to help each other out. And this peach asks,
am I the drama, Shaaba, for expressing my vegan beliefs on a date?
No, I'm struggling to see how you'd be the drama.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where the title immediately makes me go, no.
Do you know what's really funny as well? This has had a lot of activity. There's about 200 comments.
I'm intrigued. Do you want to read it?
Our little peach is Vegan Guy. Hi, Vegan Guy. Vegan Guy says, I feel bad because I went on a first date with a non-vegan guy and I felt pressured into paying, which I would have been completely comfortable with if they had not been eating meat. I expressed this politely to the person that I was dating, non-vegan guy, I imagine, after paying. Okay, that's an important point. As I didn't want this to become a regular thing, and that I was comfortable paying for my own food in the future, and obviously didn't want him to pay for me, just to make it fair. I also said that I'd be comfortable to pay for any vegan food that he got in the future, whether that be drinks, sides, or if he decided to eat vegan.
Right.
He got really angry and told me that I was prioritizing my ideology over the date. Imagine veganism being seen as like an ideology. That word is just such like a trigger word for me.
If you are vegan or vegetarian, you have no obligation to pay for meat. Surely.
Could you imagine?
Surely that...
Oh, me paying for my own steak, that's your agenda.
I can totally see why someone who's vegan would not want to pay for animal products.
And Vegan Guy has paid.
Yeah.
It sounds like those boundaries maybe weren't set clearly at the beginning. So like, I'm doing it this time. But next time, just let you know, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
Who would get annoyed at that?
Weird.
Not someone
you want to date.
Values you. Vegan Guy. Just saying. Anyway, non-vegan guy continues and says that Vegan Guy was being overly pushy and that he doesn't want to see me again. Good.
Yeah, good.
Woo! We were supposed to go out to an art gallery after lunch, but he just left me.
What a dick.
That is so not okay. Wow. Vegan Guy continues, I feel like he might be right though.
No.
Maybe it was rude to express this and I should expect to pay for food when I'm on a date regardless of what they eat. I also feel guilty because I don't want to pay for animals to be hurt either, and I feel like I'm compromising my morals by paying for it. That right there, sweet, is the point. Okay? I just want to say, if you feel like you need to compromise on your being as a person, that is not a relationship for you to be in.
Yeah.
You run. You do. I'm normally not so harsh, and like I do very much all the time value autonomy. Obviously you do what you want to do, but it doesn't feel healthy that you are having to question your own sense of morality for someone else. If they can't understand and respect your moral lines, then
yeah, it was a first date. Like, thank you, next, goodbye, don't want to see you again. Like, you did nothing wrong.
You know what the upside is? You can go to this gorgeous little art gallery with your next peach partner. That will be nice. Nicer than this for sure, because this guy sounds like a piece of poop. OP finishes off and says, I also have very bad social anxiety anxiety and ADHD, which makes me overthink everything, and I've never been walked out on a date in public. I just felt incredibly embarrassed. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. He should feel embarrassed. Dick, anxious, and hurt by the whole situation, and I wish I could have avoided it. I understand, sweet.
That makes a lot of sense to question if you did the right thing when it led to an outcome that's left you feeling embarrassed and hurt, and like, oh wow, I would have really loved to have avoided that. What could I have done? Oh, not told him. But it doesn't mean it was the right thing to do. I can see why your head would go there. I would do the same thing. But if you are vegan and it goes against your morals to pay for meat, to like facilitate in the consumption of animal products, you should not have to compromise on that line for anybody.
Yeah.
And if I went on a date with somebody who was vegan, I would actively say, one, I would probably join them with eating a vegan meal. For one night, I would try it. But if I were to ever order a meat product or an animal product with them, I would offer to pay. I'd be like, you are not paying for this. I totally respect where your boundaries might lie, and I would never expect that from you. So this guy just sounds like an arsehat.
He absolutely is a massive drama. Moldy brownie badge for non-vegan guy. Ew.
Yeah.
Bad date partner. What I will say is, in these situations, if you're ever questioning yourself, it's always really handy to put it to other principles. This is what I do all the time. Extrapolate it to other contexts and be like, does this line feel so not clear to me when I'm not the one being centered in the situation? And what my mind went to here was, what if this was like a Muslim situation or a kosher situation? If for a religious reason I don't eat pork and then someone's ordering pork and I'm like, oh, I don't feel comfortable paying for that. Imagine a world in which someone went,
through a strop, yeah.
How dare you put your ideology on me? I'm leaving. Like, you know that is like a massive red flag, right? Or if you were teetotal, you were sober, and somebody else ordered alcohol, and you're like, totally fine for you to drink, babe. I'm just not going to do it, and I don't want to pay for that. Imagine if someone was like, how dare? No. He's just trying to get a free...
Your ideology of being sober.
Silly. What I'm saying is that's a really good thought exercise sometimes to get yourself out of your head within those situations and stop that overthinking. Or maybe overthink more, but in a slightly different way. Should we see what some comments have to say?
Yes, let's have a look. Not the drama. This is not a match.
Did we give our badge? Yeah.
Yeah,
not
but
the just in case,
drama.
Just in case.
Yeah, well,
Very not the drama.
We gave non-vegan guy a moldy brownie badge.
He's moldy brownie. Moldy meaty brownie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Commenter 1, not the drama. This is not a match. You have a boundary. If I was on a date with you, I'd pay for my stuff and let you know I didn't think we could work long term because I cannot be vegan and would not expect you to deal with that. He was a jerk about it, and I'm betting it goes further than paying for a meal.
That is a really good point about, like, typically if someone's going to react this explosively to a small thing, imagine what he's like about other things. It doesn't reflect well on his values.
Just doesn't sound like a great person.
I will maybe question whether people could work long term. I do think there are worlds in which someone could be vegan and someone else could not be vegan.
I know long term couples where one person is veggie or vegan and the other isn't.
Yeah, we know a fair few actually. Yeah. Fair enough if that's like a personal line to be like, look, this isn't going to work for that reason. And I understand if you as a vegan person could not be with someone who is not vegan. But I just wanted to put out there that there are relationships where that doesn't have to be a deal breaker. It just depends on your own independent values. Not the drama.
But did you not tell him before the date that you're vegan? Because I think that's really something you should tell people to avoid this sort of hassle. I don't know. This was a first date. I feel like that would be a really normal point to talk about your identity and your diet and your likes and your dislikes and everything like that. I don't think you should have to be like, by the way, I'm vegan.
I don't think you should have to, but I do agree with what this commenter is saying in that, because his commenter goes on to say, this guy was crazy, by the way, huge red flag. Totally agree. Agree with everything else. But I think it's a really useful tip that if you want to avoid having to deal with people who are going to be this strongly against vegans, it could be something that you consider to add it to your bio.
Yeah, but you don't have to.
Yeah, no. And actually, that seems to be what someone else has suggested here too.
If you use dating sites, then add that to your about me. Makes life easier a bit. It helps weed out the people who don't bother to read about you and people who hate vegans.
Can you imagine that there's a world out there of people who actively hate vegans? That's weird.
But can you imagine that there's people out there who hate anybody who's not exactly like them? Really bizarre. This guy just wanted a free steak.
I should just date a mirror then, innit? It's bizarre. You dodged a bullet.
He wasn't mad about you being vegan. He was mad about having to pay for his own food.
Legit. That is actually how it feels on this occasion. Yeah. But he didn't even have to pay for his own food.
Well, he would have going forward.
This time, but going for
What if he's like a serial dater who just does it for the free meals and was like, oh well, clearly unless I eat broccoli, you're not going to pay for me. I don't think that's what vegans eat. I'm just trying to put my mindset.
Put your mind into the kind of person that would leave a date because of something this stupid.
I'm sorry, but if you've invited someone out and we're paying, then what someone orders is immaterial. If they invited you out and they expressed their carnivore preferences and then refused to pay for your vegan meal, wouldn't you be surprised? I'd suggest pre-qualifying future dates if this is an issue.
I don't necessarily agree with this comment.
I don't agree with this comment because, like, in what world is it a prerequisite that one person pays entirely for the date every time? Like, that's just weird.
I think someone else has said, I suggest that people realise it's 2025 and on first dates expect to pay for themselves.
Yeah.
I think there's no rules on it, right? That's the point. There are no rules. So just let people do what they feel they need to do. And I also want to point out again that vegan guy did pay.
Yeah.
He's seeing that maybe that wasn't clearly laid out beforehand. He's paid and is just enforcing a boundary for future actions, which seems perfectly healthy. Anybody that has a problem with that, go on a different date, babe.
And also, I'm really sorry, but comparing like somebody who is vegan or vegetarian and does not want to contribute towards the meat industry, not wanting to pay for meat, there is no moral boundary that stops a meat eater paying for a vegan meal. It's a very minor comparison, but that's like saying, why don't we have straight pride? It's so different. No, there is not like a moral boundary that would ever stop somebody paying for a fully vegan meal. Actually, you should actively want to support vegan restaurants and the production of good vegan food, whereas it's so obvious why somebody who doesn't eat meat would not want to contribute even financially towards the industry. I think that's such a silly comparison that does not make sense and clearly would be someone who may also walk out on a vegan.
Maybe this was
non-vegan guy. I'm putting everything else aside here just to say, don't date broke guys who expect you to pay for everything and yell at you in public.
This. You know what? I don't think we've put enough attention to that.
Yeah, I agree.
Point. If someone is yelling at you in public and leaving you and making such a scene, big red flag, babe. Smother them in your vegan ketchup and stick them on a pole.
Isn't
They're a giant
vegan?
red flag. Yes, I just wanted to add the context. You ruined it.
Sorry. It's like, if you're a grown-ass man, what are you doing throwing a toddler strop in public after someone was like, I'm not going to pay for your steak in future? Okay. I'd ask for my money back if I were vegan guy.
Just send the invoice via the dating site.
Yeah.
You know what, babe? Their loss. Vegan guy, thank you, Peach, for your submission. I hope you felt you got a lot of support from the community over on the subreddit, and I wish you the best of luck with your future dating adventures.
Same.
Drama.
And that's it for today's episode of 1-800-DRAMA podcast.
Yay.
Coming specially to you on a Wednesday on the Jamie Dodger channel, as well as the Shaaba channel.
What?
And podcast platforms.
What
oh
is
my
this
gosh.
sorcery? Peaches, spuds alike, sweet potatoes, all of you in that little Venn diagram. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please do feel free to subscribe to whatever channel you're watching this on.
Yeah.
Give the video a thumbs up. Drop a little comment downstairs if you want to join in with the discussion. Just remember to be kind. We don't tolerate any mouldy brownies here. Nuh-uh.
No, thank you. I only like nice, gooey brownies that are fresh.
Do you know how I feel about being called gooey? But we move.
I'm talking about actual brownies. And any spuds who are now just learning about this podcast is 1-800-DRAMA. You can go listen to our back catalogue of episodes because it's been going on for over a year now.
Yeah, we're on like 50 episodes, I think.
Yes, and it comes out every Monday.
Absolutely, at 7 o'clock. Be there or be a scone.
Yeah. Moldy brownie.
Be there and be a moldy brownie.
If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, you can rate the podcast and you can also rate this individual episode as well if you want to, and it really does help us out.
Hugely so. Very, very proud to have our little many stars over on Spotify pod. Shout out to you, Spotify Peaches. Thank you again for listening. Be kind.
Much love.
And have a great day.
Bye.